review book 101 about better than for the last 40 years today after past standard yes. The trauma recovery coach, none other than Mr. Richard Tierney.
Daniel, thank you for having me. Really great to be here. My name is Richard Tierney. I'm originally from Ireland, but I'm now living in Thailand. I'm married, I've got two adult children, and I'm the creator of two separate programs. The first is the Trauma Recovery Anonymous program, which teaches any individual that they can heal from any mental disorder, especially PTSD, if they treat the past trauma memory. Science tells us it's all about cause and effect. The effect is how it manifests in our lives, which is the PTSD diagnosis. And that's not the problem, that's the cause. That's our best coping skills for keeping sane. And treating those coping skills doesn't help anybody. We must address the past trauma event and remove it from our lives. And that's what this whole program creates, a healing event of 3 hours only to allow anybody to break free of the past.
Well, Mr. Richard Tierney, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. And today, let's talk about forgiveness and forgetfulness.
Okay, well, first of
Let,
all, we have to. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, well, first of all, we have to understand that what happened in the past didn't happen to you or I. So, for instance, yesterday I was a bit nervous, apprehensive, and excited about meeting you today and talking on your show. Would I speak slowly and clearly? Would I be articulate? Would your audience gain some hope from what I shared? And today, here I am sitting before you, delivering on my hope. So I'm two different people. The person I was yesterday was nervous, apprehensive. The person today, I believe, is nailing this. They're delivering this in a very healthy and hopeful manner. So there's two different people completely. And if we can extend that back into our past, I'm a 64-year-old man today. I'm a husband and a father. And I'm not a 12-year-old child from 50 years ago who suffered a trauma event. A 12-year-old child suffered a trauma event, but they suffered, they endured, they survived, and they overcame it. And how do I know they did? Because I'm alive today. If they had succumbed to that trauma, they would have given up on life, and I wouldn't be in existence today. So they survived it. And the truth is that when I bring the death and decay of a dead thing into my present, it destroys everything it touches and everyone it touches. I have to stop bringing the past into the present as a meaning for my life. I need to let go of the past completely and focus on my day to day, which is being here with you today, Daniel, and then being with my wife and my children and doing my daily chores and my responsibilities to my clients. And that's my whole life. Nothing else outside of these 24 hours is where I live today. So to forgive and forget, we have to first off separate ourselves from the past. So we have to understand that today I carry the memory of what happened to my younger self, that 12-year-old child, and I carry sympathy pains for him. But sympathy pains doesn't mean it happened to me. It means it happened to them. I have to stop saying I was abused at the age of 12. I have to say, yeah, I carried sympathy pains for my younger self who was alive at that time, who suffered abuse. And that's the truth that will set us free. And so we first have to give the past back to our younger self. So the program I've created, Trauma Recovery Anonymous, is a 3-hour healing event. And it seems crazy if anyone's had PTSD for 10, 20, 30 years, for some strange fellow to come along and say, I can heal you in 3 hours. They're kind of thinking, I must be on drugs. I must be high as a kite or some loopy. If I'm threatening I can heal you in 3 hours and you've been suffering for 10, 20, 30 years. But the truth is, the past didn't happen to you or I. It's none of our business. And the only way you can heal yourself is to embrace this truth. So when you get to that place of realizing that my life is here today, sitting in front of you and my time with my wife and my children and doing my chores today and dealing with my clients today, and the past 50 years ago just has nothing to do with me, that's the moment I can actually make the move to break free of the past.
Do you believe true forgiveness is possible without some form of forgetfulness, or are they two entirely separate acts?
They come together. So what we have to do first off, once we've given the past back to our younger self, And I have to say this 2 hour practice I do with my clients. They feel it in their bodies mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. It's like a great weight lifts off the shoulders, like the weight of the world on the shoulders leaves their body, and all the anxiety and panic in their chest, like an elephant sitting on the chest, leaves their chest, and they're free in that moment. And in that moment, then, because they've given the past back to themselves, back to their younger selves, there's nothing to forgive. It was never theirs to take umbrage to in the first place. So there's nothing to forgive. And then, so then you make a decision where you say, okay, God, what happened in the past didn't happen to me. I want to give it all to you now and be free of it. I give it all to you freely and unconditionally. And then by giving it to God 10, 20 times a day for 30 days, by day 10, you'll find you're no longer triggered by it. No more nightmares, no more flashbacks. It's like it's gone. It's quite shocking to a person who's been suffering with PTSD for 10, 20, 30 years to do this practice and find 10 days after doing it, the past is gone. No nightmares, no flashbacks, no triggers, peace of mind in each and every moment. They're like miracles. People don't understand how beautiful this is. And then once you've let it go, you forget it. You just make a decision. It's not my business. My business is right here now to be with Daniel, to be as effective in offering hope to Daniel's audience as I can be. And if I'm thinking about the past, I can't be present with Daniel. So I must forgive and forget the past. It's not a choice we have. We don't have a choice to hang on to it and hold resentments against it. We must let it go. It's a big part of life is to, we're told that yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, all we have is today, a gift from God.
Many people say forgive and forget. In your view, is forgetting a necessary component of forgiveness, a possible outcome, or even a dangerous idea?
But I think we've been conditioned to find meaning in the past. That's the biggest problem we have. Every mental health professional out there tells us that we have to keep suffering the past over and over again. And so it's our duty not to abandon our younger self, to go for therapy and speak about it and feel the pain of it. And because we're conditioned to do that, it's very hard to forgive and forget. But if we can separate us from that whole idea of therapy and just simply accept that my life is in these 24 hours today as a 64-year-old man. What happened when I was 63 or 62 or 61 or when I was 12 years of age is none of my business. So I let it go, I forgive it, I release it to my younger self, and then I forget it. And when I do that, then I can focus all my attention and intention on these 24 hours in front of me. It's very important that we focus. Not so much, it's not about forgiving, forgetting. It's about focusing all our attention on this moment in time. So right now, over here in Thailand, it's 10 minutes past 11. So my lifetime today is from 11 p.m., 11 a.m. till 12 noon. That's my whole life. I may not be awake after 12 noon, and everything before 11 o'clock is in the past. So my life is only in this 1 hour. So there's no room for forgiving and forgetting something that didn't happen to me in the past. I have to let it go and focus on being the best version of myself I can be today with you at this presentation on this podcast.
Is there a difference between forgetting and no longer allowing a memory to hold emotional power over you? Where does forgiveness live in the distinction?
That was really very well said. I don't think I could have put it better myself. That forgetting and not allowing it are the same thing, one and the same. I couldn't have explained it better. We have to stop allowing the past or the future to have any space in the present. When we bring the past into the present, we're bringing the death, decay, and disease of a dead thing into our present. And it destroys every person and everything and every opportunity and every goal we have, destroys them all. We can see where we're falling out with our family and our friends and we can't get a job and no one will work with us. We're allowing a dead thing we're carrying around, talking about all the time, destroy everything. We have to, like you said, not allow it to intrude upon our lives, to completely forget it, and not forget it like as though we're giving in to we can't deal with it. It was never ours to deal with in the first place. We give it back to its rightful owner, our younger self. So I'm a 64-year-old man, and the child who was molested was a 12-year-old child. I wasn't molested. I'm a 64-year-old man. If someone came near me, I'd clobber them. No one's going to molest me today. I'm just, from my experience of life, I'm not letting anyone like that come near me. I'll clobber them before they get anywhere near me, you know? So I can't say it happened to me. What's happening to me today is being a husband and a father, being on your podcast, presenting clearly. So hopefully, I'm offering great hope to your audience. I'm giving them a new idea, a new perspective that offers them some form of hope that the light at the end of the tunnel isn't an oncoming train of more doom and gloom, but it's a train of hope that they can be free of their trauma. I remember working with a client once, and he'd had PTSD for some 25 years, and he'd been with more than 20 therapists in that time, untold medications, untold therapies. And we did this process. He was completely shocked because he had vested all of his identity in being a victim. And it was a case of he couldn't embrace this healing because if he did, he felt he would have wasted 20, 30 years of his life. So he needed to stay where he was, where he had an identity and he had an image for his family and his friends and his colleagues that he was a broken person. And he couldn't give that up. It's not an easy path to take, to suffer it as a victim for 20, 30 years, to finally give that up and return to the land of the living, especially for older people now, because most older people, veterans, I love a lot, have been wards of the state. They haven't held down a job for a long time. They've been getting social welfare and living off the state. And now suddenly they're freed of their trauma, but they're in their 50s and 60s. And there's no jobs out there for them, or that if there is, there's not a good job out there. And then suddenly they have to go back into the workforce. And that can be very daunting. It'd be much safer to stay in the pain you know rather than the pain you don't know.
Mr. Richard, can you ever truly forgive a person or an institution for harm if they refuse to acknowledge that harm ever occurred?
Okay, well, the trick is you don't forgive them to your face, to their face. Uh, if I'm going to mention the Bible for a minute. So Jesus, when he was on the cross, and even before he went on the cross, he never forgave the Pharisees to their face. He knew if he said, "I forgive you," they would have laughed at him, they would have scoffed at him, they would have ridiculed him. So he didn't say anything to them. But when he was on the cross, he looked up to God and he said, "God, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing." So when we forgive them, we don't forgive them to their face. We give our anger and our wrath to God. The Bible says that if you give your anger and your wrath to God, they will face hell for all eternity. Now, I remember speaking to a priest about this, and he said, let's imagine that you could get vengeance and justice for your younger self, and you got that person went to court. Because the prisons are so full and it happened so long ago, the judge might say, okay, well, what you did to Richard, we're going to give you 3 years in prison, and you're out in 6 months for good behavior. Would that equal the pain and hurt I suffered? Not a chance. Wouldn't come near it. If they said they give him 10 years, would that equal it? No, not a chance. Wouldn't come near it. So I know any justice I can get on this earth will not equal the pain I suffered as a 12-year-old child. But if I give my anger and my resentment and my frustrations to God and my need for vengeance, He will promise me that they will suffer in the fires of hell for all eternity. So that's how you forgive the other person. You give your anger and your wrath to God. And then know that whatever he can have a great life on this earth. My abuser can have a great life, can have loads of money and have fast boats and beautiful girls and big houses and whatever. But when it comes to the end of his days, he will suffer in the fires of hell for all eternity. And that equates to the suffering I experienced as a 12-year-old child.
Some philosophies argue that forgiveness is ultimately a selfish act, something we do our own peace and not for the others or the offender. Do you
But
agree?
you're not forgiving for the offender. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you. So it is a selfish act. You want, the problem is, if we don't forgive, that person has rent-free space in our heads. And they press our buttons all the time. They walk into a room and we fall apart. You hear their voice and we fall apart. They phone you or say something to you and you fall apart. We want to take that power back. So by forgiving them over and over again, they lose their power. And suddenly when we meet them, they don't have any effect on us. We hear their voice or that we see them walking past and we don't fall apart because they've lost the power. When we forgive somebody over and over again, God hears, or which is forgiven that person, and we move them from our mind, and no longer they have any power over us. So it's a selfish act to give ourselves peace of mind. That's the ultimate goal, is peace of mind.
For our listeners or viewers grappling with this, what does the practical day to day process of forgiving someone actually look and feel?
Okay, well, there's a very simple prayer I'd share with you. Now, the problem is we have to change. Okay, here's one for you. Okay, I'm a Christian. I don't know what faith your audience are. So if you'd like to use my God, you can pray to Richie's God. Okay, just say, I'm praying to Richie's God now to get peace of mind. Okay, so here's how it goes. It says, Lord Father, I have carried this cross since the day I was born, and like your Son Jesus, I have faltered more than once. It's too much for me to carry. I can't handle this. On this cross, I carry all the depression and despair of my past and all the anxiety and panic of my unknown future. This cross also carries the abuse that my younger self suffered at the age of 12, the people who rejected me, who abandoned me, who betrayed me, people who hurt me, people who ridiculed me, people who bullied me through school and through life. I give all of this to you now for 8 hours of peaceful sleep. Grant me 8 hours of peaceful sleep. I give it to you freely and unconditionally. And then you go to bed. And you find when you do this, you get 8 hours of peaceful sleep. When you wake up in the morning, you get down on your knees and you put your hands in the air and you say, okay, Lord, I'm ready to take my cross back. And in this moment, you imagine as you receive this cross, this one is lighter with a bit of color on it. And you put it on your back and you can't feel it so light. And you hear his voice and he says, my beautiful beloved Daniel, I've taken your cross from you and I'm keeping it forever. This new cross I'm giving you is a cross just for 24 hours in front of you. And since you give me the 8 hours at nighttime, it's a 16-hour cross. All it carries on this cross is for you to live 16 hours a day of 8 hours of work and 8 hours of play. Forget all of the past. I've taken it from you. Get all of your abuses and all the hurts and pains and all the need for forgiveness and forgetfulness. Let it go. All the anger, resentment, let it go. I want you to focus solely on 16 hours in front of you only. Just focus on these 16 hours. I'll take care of all the rest. So your 8 hours of work and 8 hours of play. Give 100% of yourself today. Do the best you can today to be present and alive today. The first hour of the day, no phone, no internet. The last hour of the day, no phone, no internet. And every hour, stop and take a moment and really consider the fact that of your life of 16 hours, you've got through 1 hour, well done. You got your 2 hours, well done, and so on. And on your lunch break, after your lunch, go somewhere and sit in the park or somewhere and think, God, I've just managed 6 hours of my life. I've only got 10 hours left. Well done. I give myself a clap in the back by myself, maybe a soda or an ice cream or something, and go back to work and finish the rest of my day, or school or college, wherever you are. At the end of your day, go back into your bedroom, get down on your knees and say, okay, God, here's your cross back. I've done the best I could today with what you gave me. I didn't go into the past. I didn't go into the future. I've just focused on these 16 hours. And this is the best I could do today. Thank you very much. Give me your cross, get into bed and sleep. We're just trying to find a way of living free of the resentments and the hurts of the past, one day at a time. And if you can bring it all into just a 16-hour window, you're going to have a wonderful life. That's not what your therapist says, what your family think you should be doing. You're trying to find a way to live peacefully, abundantly in 16 hours only a day. If you can give your 8 hours at nighttime to God and let him take it from you, he'll give you peace of mind. You'll have no nightmares, no flashbacks, no triggers. It's quite a beautiful experience to have. And then just focus on 16 hours, what's in front of you. And every time 1 hour goes, you've got a 15-hour day left. Then you've got a 14-hour day left. Then you've got a 12-hour day left. And then you've got an 8-hour day left. And then the hour before bedtime, turn off your phone, turn off the TV and go for a walk for half an hour. Then come back in, have a shower, brush your teeth, all that kind of stuff, and get ready for bed. And then get down on your knees and say, God, here's my cross. Or rich is God, here's my cross. If that works for you, if you have a problem with God, rich is God use. Okay?
Mr. Richard, as a trauma recovery coach, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Pardon?
What are your short-term and long-term goals?
Okay, well, the long-term goals are there's 1 billion people in the world today diagnosed with PTSD. And it's a crying shame because the PTSD basically is treating the effect and not the cause. So my long-term goal is to reach 1 billion people. My short-term goal is, I came across the podcast platform about 3 months ago, and I love it. I'm getting a chance to speak on all these podcasts, and I'm hoping that audiences on all these podcasts will resonate with what I share, will gain hope from what I share, and from that, it'll spread like a fine harvest. You plant one seed, and then suddenly there's 4, and there's 6, and there's 8, and there's 12, and there's 18, and 24. And basically, I won't be able to do it on my own. I'm a 64-year-old man. I've had some health issues because of the vaccines. I don't want to get into the whole poor me stuff. I don't like playing the victim. But after the vaccines, I suffered a mild heart attack. I suffered 2 mini strokes. I suffered kidney failure. So I'm on the mend, but I'm not capable of doing this on my own. So the podcast platform idea is the most wonderful gift I've ever been given. It's like God planted in my path podcasts that I've been appeared on about 60 podcasts already. And I'm lined up for about another 60 podcasts. And if I can reach, if there's 100 people on each one of those, that means 6,000 people, or 60,000, whatever, 6,000 people, 60,000 people hear my word. And then those 6,000 tell 60,000 more, and it's 120. And before you know it, we're reaching that 1 billion. So my goal is to get the word out there that The past is none of your business. If you can learn to not let it define you, you can have a life beyond your wildest dreams.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Richard, and looking forward for more success. And
Please God.
yes, and can you give a piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Oh, well, I don't know if anyone wants to be like me, but I can give you three pieces of advice. There's three I share with all my clients. The first is to understand that in every situation, you're never the victim. So if my wife wants to divorce me, it's not about me. It's about her wanting to get her needs met, and I'm not able to fill her needs for her. So she's going to find somebody to do it. But it's not an attack on me. It's her looking after her needs. If my boss wants to fire me, it's not the fact that he doesn't like me. He employed me in the first place. It's about him needing a role filled that I'm unable to fulfill. And so he's going to replace me with somebody else for his needs. If we can get into a thing of realizing that, so that's for an instance, I'm on this podcast with Daniel, and for any reason Daniel decides he doesn't like my podcast and he doesn't post it, it's not an attack on me. It's Daniel protecting his podcast and his audience from myself. So if this isn't a good podcast, he doesn't promote it, but it's not an attack on me. And if we can see that in every situation, with our families, with our bosses, with our neighbors, people are doing what they do because it's for them. It's not about us. The second step is to understand that you're never truly alone. So you've been the benefit of having Daniel here with his podcast, and you get to hear so many different perspectives and outlooks that can help you fill yourself with much needed hope. Then there's all these platforms like YouTube and Spotify, that there's so much resources, free resources available you can tap into for meditations, for yoga, for whatever it is. There's loads of lessons on Spotify and YouTube you can tap into. And then for myself, I remember about 10 years ago, I had to go back to Ireland on business and leave my wife and my newborn child. And I remember flying back to 16 years ago, 17 years ago, flying back to Ireland. In Singapore, I was in my head. I wasn't in a good space. And I knew I couldn't fly with my head the way it was. So I saw this man. I didn't know who he was. Went over and said, "Do you mind if I vented you for 5 minutes?" And he looked at me like he didn't speak English. So I just sat down beside him and I talked to him for 10 minutes. I gave him all I had. And he went, "I have to go." And he went to his plane. And I felt great relief giving myself to a stranger. And he went on his plane. I went on my plane. And it was great. I remember we have a dog here, a Chihuahua. He's very small, so only big for about 100-yard walk. When we go for a walk together, I give him all my day. I just talk at the dog. He doesn't understand me, he doesn't speak English. I give him all my day. We come back to the house, and I feel relieved. So there's always someone or something you can tap into. Don't be afraid to tell your parents if you're in trouble, if you're being bullied or you're failing in school. Tell your parents. Your parents decided to have a child. You're their future, and they love you very much. And even though they may be annoyed that you're not succeeding, they want you to be safe. That's their ultimate goal, is to keep you safe. So if you're having a problem in school or with a relation, you tell your parents. And if it's with your parents, you tell your grandparents. And if you have to go to social services or the police or whatever, but you look after yourself. You're the future of our human race, and we need you to keep safe. So always be ready to ask for help. It can be a priest, it can be a spiritual advisor, be ready, it could be a neighbor. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Keeping secrets is the worst thing you can do. And the third one is accept there is a God. And if you have a problem with the word God, say which is God, or our ultimate, our infinite intelligence, or infinite peace, or infinite beauty, or universal peace, or find something, that word that'll use for you, and just give him your troubles at nighttime, or give her whatever works for you. Give it to a concept of God that works for you. For now, maybe later on you can get into my God, but just for now, give it to something outside of yourself. And it's really good is write down all your pains and hurts on a sheet of paper, and before you go to bed, read them aloud and say, "These I'm giving to Richard's God." Take the page into your bathroom. If you have any matches, light it, drop it in the toilet, and flush it down the toilet, and that'll give you peace of mind for 8 hours. I pray this has given you some hope. Pray this has given you a solution to your predicament, that you can return to the land of the living as a normal, boring human being. Daniel, thank you for having me.
Looking forward for that more guesting, Mr. Richard, and thank you for that advice. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Well, most of my books that I've got into were spiritual books, but I have to say the first one is The Five Love Languages. Is a wonderful book about understanding that people love differently. Some people love by giving gifts. Some people love by giving money. Some people love by giving their presence. And it may be that the person you're with doesn't love the way you love. You may think you're unloved because they're not giving you attention. They give you flowers and chocolates, and you're thinking they should be giving you hugs and whatever, but they just don't give hugs. If you read this book, The Five Languages, the Five Love Languages, the author is by the name is Carpenter. Now, someone kindly uploaded this onto the YouTube, so you can listen to it as an audiobook. And it's really wonderful to understand that people love differently. So if you're thinking your husband doesn't love you because he doesn't bring you flowers, it may be that his love language is to do service or to give gifts rather than giving hugs. And vice versa. He doesn't think you love him because you don't give him hugs. Oh my God. Fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Minister.
So the second thing is to understand that the Untethered Soul is a really wonderful book by Michael Singer, and it teaches us that we have a soul within this physical being, and the soul is really who we are, and the physical being is tied to this fallen world. And if we can learn to listen to the voice in our soul, in our gut, rather than the voice in our head. The voice in our head is the worst thing we can do. Listen to our voice. It'll tell us we're no good, we don't deserve anything. You think of asking out a girl, and the voices say, "No, Daniel, you don't deserve her. She's too good looking for you. You're not good enough for her." And then you won't do it. Because the gut will tell you, "Go for it, Daniel. You're as good as anybody. If you're attracted to her, there's a reason for it. Go for it." And vice versa. Whenever the situation you learn, you trust your instincts. You trust your instincts. Whatever's happening, you trust your instincts and you take the action. So your instincts are your feelings and your emotions. Your God given instincts that in any situation, whether you're anxious or depressed, they are your instincts telling you to take some form of action. The actions are fight, flight, freeze, or acceptance. So fight isn't about fighting fisticuffs. Fighting can be just say no, ask someone to hold your hand or sit with you, vent at your dog or the stranger in the airport. Um, Report somebody by email, tell your parents. These are ways of fighting. Flight is running away. Just if you feel unsafe in the company of somebody, get up and walk away. Don't apologize. Don't make excuses. Just get up and walk away. And if you want to freeze, it's okay to disassociate. Disassociate probably is the best coping skill. Unfortunately, mental health professionals say it's a disorder, but it's not. It's the safest thing. What you do is, if I'm sitting here with Daniel and I feel threatened by Daniel, I'll stay sitting here, but in my mind and my heart and my soul, I leave the building. I go to a place of fantasy. So I've got my eyes open looking at Daniel, but in my mind, I'm having a fantasy dream. I'm in some dream world, feeling safe there. Or whatever happening in the present, I've left the building for 10 minutes just to be safe. And then when everything quietens down here, I come back into my body, I shake myself up and I go on again. It's okay to disassociate. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Richard. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love letters in third season, and movie 101 review and music 101 in fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Richard, to end on a hopeful note, what is the most liberating or transformative example of forgiveness you have never witnessed, and what did it teach you?
Wow. Well, I suppose probably the latest one was I was in a business dealing with some family recently, and it didn't go well for myself, and I was very, very angry. And I was really, I gave this person to God to visit God's wrath upon him, that when he died, he'd go to hell. And I was really, really angry at this person. Wasn't sleeping. It was terrible. And after about 3 months of doing this, of giving my anger to God, I found myself one day saying, God, I'm taking the anger back. I don't want him to go to hell. Just remove my anger completely. I've made peace. Everything's okay. Don't hold it over him. Release him. It was quite mind blowing. It was a family member. It was someone that I cared about deeply. But in a moment of rage, I asked God to send him to hell. But later on, I came to understand that he was just doing right by him. Again, he wasn't attacking me. He was protecting his interests. And that's what he was doing for himself. And it wasn't an attack on me. It was him looking after himself in the same way I was trying to look after myself. So when I realized that, I asked God to please forgive him and to let it go and don't hold any resentment over him. And that was, for me, was the most wonderful experience to have.
Mr. Richard Tierney, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge in this world. Can you please invite our listeners to report your advocacy or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Okay, my program is called Trauma Recovery Anonymous. It's a 12-step program. It's been approved by the AA program, which is really huge. There's only about maybe 8 12-step programs in the world. And Trauma Recovery Anonymous is the latest one that's been approved by AA to use their whole format. So the 12-step program is the after the healing event. The healing event is called Healing Any Trauma Memory. Both books are available on the Amazon platform. And it says it's the first trauma 12-step program approved by AA. So that's the program. If you do the healing event first and then you do the 12 steps, that'll clear you of your past trauma memory or PTSD. And if you get those books, you contact me directly at richard@traumarecoveryanonymous.com. I'll take you through the process if that helps you.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Richard Tierney because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowerment and focus will become. So, Mr. Richard, thank you so much for your time.
Mr. Daniel, thank you very much for having me.
More to come, people. See you soon.